Hey, this is Meredith's husband. I've got some SEO advice for you, but I'm going to keep it really simple so that you can understand it, so it makes sense, and most importantly, so you can actually use it.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
I was actually thinking of renaming this podcast to Can You Hear Me Now? But I assume that's got to already be taken.
There's got to be a podcast or two called that.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, good. Yeah. How are you, listener?
I'm sure he or they or them are good, I hope.
Yeah, me too. I hope you're very good.
So I just got an email just like an hour ago.
Yeah.
And I thought this might be interesting.
Okay.
Especially if our listener is using a WordPress website.
Okay.
And so I got this. This is from a tool that I use for my clients to monitor their WordPress health and keep it updated and everything. And so this was an alert that the site was now vulnerable.
Ooh.
And this is actually a former client who I kept in the system just because he's a great guy. And if this ever happened, I wanted to be able to reach out. But this happens when you don't keep a WordPress site up to date. You gotta when you have a WordPress site, you want to keep your plugins updated and the WordPress itself updated, and it needs.
Does it do it automatically?
Some hosts will, yes. WordPress by itself, no. You can get tools that will do it automatically, and there's a host that I recommend called SiteGround. Fantastic. SiteGround, yeah.
Like ground control to site.
Yeah, kind of.
Everything can be related to Bowie.
Yes, everything. I saw your Twitter account yesterday, and it's like it's like a handful of photos and then 50 million Bowie images. Anyway, SiteGround is good. Someday I'll talk about it because it's a fantastic web host if you're running a WordPress site. But anyway, so this site had become vulnerable because nobody was keeping it updated. And what happens then is sites get hacked.
Oh, really?
Especially WordPress sites. Always. It's if you don't keep it updated, it's really not a matter of if, but when.
Are WordPress sites hacked more than Squarespace?
Yes. You don't have to worry about being hacked if you're on Squarespace. Okay. If you're on a platform like Squarespace or Wix or any of those, where they handle the hosting for you, they'll be secure. If you're on WordPress, you need to watch it yourself. Now,
that's good to know.
Again, some hosts like SiteGround will take care of this for you, but they won't always catch it. And what happens is, what I've heard from people over the years is like, well, nobody's going to hack my site. Nobody cares.
Right. Yeah, so everyone.
So, but
they don't. It's not going to happen to me.
There are 30,000 WordPress sites per day hacked.
30,000?
Yes. And they don't, the people hacking these sites are not trying to get access to your information or whatever. They have their own interests at heart.
Motives.
Yes. They technically, this is a black hat SEO, very, very black hat SEO technique. But what happens is people will write code that will scan the internet looking for WordPress sites that are out of date. And when something becomes out of date, it becomes a vulnerability. Just like if you have Windows or Mac, you'll get security updates like, hey, your system needs to be updated because it's now vulnerable. Well, what that means is hackers have found a way in, and so they release a patch to block it. Same thing with WordPress sites and plugins. And if you don't install the update, these hackers are going to get into your WordPress site, and what they're going to do is they're going to put in links to their own websites.
What?
Yes.
So then they get affiliate links.
Not affiliate links. They just get. So you remember how I'm always talking about how important links are for Google and SEO.
Yeah.
Well, if they can create an automated bot that's going to go out and generate thousands of links to any website they want, this is one way to do that. This is why this is black hat SEO. And so what happens is they will.
If listener, you just happen to listen in and this is your first time, I would recommend going to episode one for about black hat. I don't know. Chris will put a little input here of what episode that will define black hat
SEO. It's just tricky, sneaky, scummy SEO tactics.
To put it mildly.
Yes. And so what these things will do is they will create entire pages on your WordPress site that just talk about their own site, and they will link to their own site. And even if a user tries to go to this page, they won't even go to the page. They'll go straight to this person's other website.
No.
And what's the bad thing is that if this happens, if this happens to your WordPress site, you'll never know it.
Oh my God.
Because they're not going to tell you. Because if you, obviously, if you became aware of this, you would get rid of those pages. You would get rid of those links.
Is there a way to scan your website?
Yes, I'll get to that.
I'm so smart.
So these people want those links to stay there. They don't want them to be erased. So they try to hide it. But what happens is Google sees it.
Oh, yes, the great Google.
Google sees this, and if you don't catch it and get rid of this hack, you can ultimately be banned from Google. So you will see your traffic just disappear.
Smoke.
And this happens often. I've removed many hacks over the years.
Wow.
And inevitably, the most well-known one, and it will continue to be the most well-known one, is a pharma hack. So it links to fake pharmacies.
Fake pharmacies?
Fake pharmacies overseas in Russia, Ukraine, Eastern Europe somehow. And they're 99 times out of 100, it'll be Viagra, fake Cialis. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And there was somebody did a story on this once. I don't remember if it was like the Wall Street Journal or 60 Minutes or something. They actually ordered some of these. So they ordered Viagra. Yeah. And they got them and they looked at them. And what the pills were, they were compacted sawdust.
No.
Painted blue with like latex house paint.
Oh no.
Sold as Viagra.
Oh my gosh. People have took it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Nothing happens. You can eat sawdust. Nothing is bad going to happen.
Yeah, but latex paint.
Yeah, not the great, but just enough to cover a pill.
Yeah, still, you're going to poop that out. Complete.
Yeah. Well, certainly. Yeah. Okay,
yeah. If you all of a sudden, okay, I'm not going to.
No comment. Yeah.
No, God, let's leave that here.
But that's what happens if you don't keep your long story.
Bet you didn't think the podcast would go this far.
Fake Viagra. But that's what happens if you don't keep your WordPress site up to date and protected. And yes, there are tools that will do that.
That was my next question.
SiteGround will scan if you host on SiteGround. And again, if you're running a WordPress website and you're looking for a host, I highly recommend SiteGround. I'll do an entire episode someday on
will there be a
hosting.
link down that somebody can go to?
Yeah. A lot of times people, if you're running a WordPress site, you're already going to be on a host and you might not want to switch. So there are also tools that you can use. The one I use to just kind of monitor a whole bunch of sites is called, I think it's called WP Manage. Correction, it's called Manage WP at managewp.com. I'll check it later.
Okay.
And if that's not it, I'll insert a note here. Back. But yeah, what they'll do is they'll run a security scan daily, and it's like a couple bucks a month.
Oh, that's great.
But it won't clean your site. If you find a hack, then you're going to need either your host to take care of it, in which case, again, SiteGround is great. Some hosts like GoDaddy are going to, the really cheap hosts are going to be like, no, we can't do that, or they're going to charge you money. SiteGround will do it for free.
Okay. And so that goes through it, and that will also clean it up.
Yes, they'll clean it out because the host doesn't want, it is in the website host's best interest. They don't want a hack on their servers, so it's in their best interest to clean it up.
Right. True. Okay.
So that just came in. So I'm going to reach out to this guy later today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give him a heads up.
Good job.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Is that it?
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye. No, I wanted to talk a little bit more about blogging because last week I gave you an idea for what I thought was a very easy way to get started blogging, but it's by no means the only way. There are literally an infinite number of ways. You're really limited by your own creativity.
Yes, always.
And as a professional creative, you should have an advantage.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
So I introduced that method because I figured if you haven't started blogging, I figured that would be the thing that kind of sounds the most to you, what you think of blogging should be. Does that make sense?
What it thinks to me that.
So if you haven't,
sound like me.
If you have, oh no. So if you haven't started blogging, I introduced that idea because I thought that would align with what you probably expect blogging should be. Mm-hmm. The who, what, why, how answers. Yeah. How much should you pay a photographer for your wedding photo? Like those sorts of things. What should you those are probably the things that you're thinking that, a blog should be.
Right.
And I that should be an easy method to come up with those, but there are many others. So I wanted to cover some of the others.
That'd be great.
In case you have done that in the last week. If you have, congratulations. Nope. Yeah, I assume nobody has, but
maybe somebody has.
Yes, there's lots of other ways to do it. And I want to just talk about some of them.
Okay.
So one of my favorite ways to do this is interviews. And you might think, well, who am I going to interview? How am I going to do that? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's lots of possibilities. Also, you want to think about when you're doing this, is there some way you can sort of kill two birds with one stone, get, dual purpose out of this blog entry? So
maybe there should be another phrase than kill two birds with one stone. Like there's got to be a nicer thing that doesn't hurt birds. Yeah. Okay. Why would you want to kill them? Birds are great.
All right.
There's got to be another. There has to be another.
When you are blogging.
Yes. And you'd like to take care of two things at once.
Yeah.
I love debates.
Okay. So interviews, like let's say you are say wedding photographer. I assume there are a lot of wedding photographers out there related to other types of photographers.
Yes.
So you can follow up with your clients after the wedding, not right after. But maybe because they're probably on their honeymoon.
Goodbye. Wait, can I just?
Give them time to go on their honeymoon and settle back into life. But then reach out and say, "Hey, I want to know. I hope your honeymoon was great, or hope everything is going well. Wanted to ask you a few questions, and they can be not necessarily things like, how did you feel about this? It's not like a service questionnaire, but you can say like, hey, if you could go back." I'm interested. If you could go back and talk to yourself before your wedding, what advice would you give yourself? Just a quick comment here. Questions like this, you might want to preface by saying you're writing a blog or taking a survey to publish on your website. A question like that out of the blue might seem a little odd. Questions like that where it's going to help you as a photographer, because then you have some idea into the mindset of your clients, both before and after hiring you. It's certainly going to appeal, I would think, to engaged couples planning their wedding. Because I remember, leading up to it, there's a lot going on and a lot of unknown stuff. It's literally a once in a lifetime event. So
hopefully,
you kind of feel in some way like you're, well, more the ways than one, like you're rolling the dice. Like, What I meant by that is that I hope this caterer makes good fish. I hope this DJ is good. I hope the photos come out well. Not. I hope hope she's the one for me. But anyway, that's one idea. You could so you could do things like that. You could interview other photographers. You could do like a roundtable. That may be a little more difficult because people are going to feel like you are a competition, etc.
But so then could you do a collective link?
Yeah. What do you mean a collective link?
Yeah, I actually don't think that's the best idea, because then you're making other people be like, actually, or maybe you're just sharing the wealth and you're listing all these other photographers that people can click on.
Well, what I would do is I would talk to wedding photographers in another state or something where
there we go. Yeah. Nicely.
Not the one down the street. They're probably not going to want to do it. But if you have friends across the country who you talk to, that's a possibility. Another possibility, interview other vendors.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Talk to DJs, talk to caterers, talk to event venues, ask them, hey, as a DJ, what what's the one thing that you think engaged couples should know about, before they select their music, things like that. Then you can link to them. I assume people, you could talk to them on the phone and record it. Just do like this, a Zoom meeting, have it transcribed and say, hey, I'll link to you. I would assume they would do that,
Yeah. DJs are pretty cool.
Yeah, DJs are the best. Our DJ was awesome.
Our DJ was so good. What was his name?
I don't remember.
I'm going to look for it while you talk.
That's just some ideas about interviewing. And I would use the same method I discussed last week about transcribing. If you are transcribing by the way, I've learned this in
DJ Gaza.
Are you really?
Yep. DJ Gaza, Gary Hoffman, yep, DJ Gaza. Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to just see if the site is changed. The site is now 74events.com. 74events.com.
Well, check it out.
Hold on. And his name is Gary Hoffman.
Yeah, he was good. He was really good. He
was great.
If he's still at the head of that, or if he's still a part of that, I recommend him if you're in New York City.
Yeah. Although don't see him. All right.
Well, anyway, let's move on. So in the last couple of weeks, I found another tool for transcribing audio with multiple speakers, which is good. Because it's a little different than the tools I recommended if you're just speaking yourself, because as we have learned, people tend to talk over each other. No. Yes.
No, I don't believe it.
And that creates a transcription problem. A tool called Sonix.ai, Sonix.ai is really good.
Say that one more time.
Sonix.ai, Sonix.ai is really good for transcribing things with multiple speakers. It's by far the best that I found, and I looked around quite a bit.
No.
So, onward.
Will there be a link to that below?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Man, there's going to be a lot of links.
We can section them off in different.
Yeah. Oh categories. No, they're in the. You obviously haven't looked at the website because there's a resource section.
Nope.
And they all have their own category.
Oh, so clever.
You can do so. Back to potential blog formats. You can do lists. You can do a resource list and say, hey, if you're planning a wedding in this, here are the things you want to think about. How much does photography cost? Because people are going, if you're the photographer and you're saying, here's how much photos cost, and that's it, people are going to see that as a little bit self-serving.
Right.
And rightfully so. But what about how much, how much does a wedding cost? And you break down all the different costs, because a lot of people, I assume, like us, we had a dollar amount and it was our budget. And then we have all these things that we need. And then we need to figure out, what are all the things? How much should all the things cost? Like, think if a nice resource might be like, hey, here's an infographic, or here's a pie chart, and here's where all your money is going to need to go. And roughly, these are the percentages. And that would vary from location to location. Yeah. But that would be a good resource, I would think.
Hands down. We spent the most on photography.
Yeah, I think more than our venue even.
Yeah. Yeah. And worth it.
Yeah. It's the one. Yeah. To be honest,
it's the one thing that stays with you.
It's the one thing we still have other than our memories.
And a marriage.
Yes.
Don't forget about that.
Yes. Good point.
Marriage.
But yeah, that seems like it would be, stuff like that. So you can, be helpful in more ways than just providing the photos. And if you create blogs like this, like something like that one, you can come back and you can keep revising it. It doesn't have to be a one time and then it sits there forever. You can
Does it help or hinder if you revise?
Yeah, it actually helps. A couple ways. If I have clients who they had blogs from, say, 2012 that were doing really well.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, they revise it and republish it. Now it's 2021. Nice. Google has a slight tendency to prefer newer content. Not as much as it used to be, but they used to really, really like new content. In fact, there was, for a very small amount of time, somebody figured out that if you publish a blog post with tomorrow's date, guess what? Goes straight to number one. Like you instantly go to number one on Google. Yeah, that only lasted like a few days, but
oh man,
yeah, it was funny in the SEO world. That's
hilarious.
That's exciting.
Oh, it gives me shivers.
But also, if you update something, put it in the title tag. Whatever the name of your blog is, and then after the name, say updated 2021. You see that all the time, and that helps people click on that. People love that's like clickbait. Like when you say when you do a search, and
because you want to see and read the most recent.
Yeah, you want the latest information. So
we're conditioned to do that.
Yeah, if it's
latest
May,
is best.
Yeah, if it's May 2021. And you say, and there you have a blog post and it says like updated, February 2021, and it's the only one in the list that says something, like people are going to click that. I guarantee it.
It would have to be after May though. It would have to be September.
No, if somebody is doing a search in May and your blog post says updated February 2021, got it. That's going to be pretty appealing. Appealing.
Yeah. Like when you're on Amazon and you want to read the most recent review, because they may have changed their products.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and then once you do so that sort of information is going to be helpful to your potential clients.
Yes.
And then you can take info like that and you can repurpose it, and you can, once you start creating content like this, you'll be able to chop it up and use it on social media. I mean, we are in the age of content now.
Yeah.
So
in the age of the content,
Yeah, I'm just going to let you go with that one. That was pretty good. I've heard it said in several different ways that today, if you're not publishing, let me rephrase that. Every business now should think of themselves as a publisher. You got to be putting content. If you don't have a voice in today's world, you don't exist.
You don't exist in that
online. Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yes. Yeah. But anyway, once you start creating this sort of content and you see what's popular and what people like, which you'll be able to see from looking at your analytics and, seeing which pages are popular, you can, create slideshows, create 60-second snippets, create infographics, post, this is the stuff you can use as sort of the pillar content on social media, the stuff that, and your blog, more importantly, the stuff that is like the flagpole of your blog. And then you can fill in, not every single blog post is going to be something like this, obviously, but then you can fill it in with the more traditional posts of like, hey, here's my latest shoot with Family XYZ. We did this and that.
We love them.
Yeah, to keep your publishing consistent. And then sprinkled throughout, you have these more substantial pieces.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to start.
Well, you do have a blog.
Yeah.
It is on your website.
Yeah.
I looked after one of the last episodes.
Send me a link so I can start.
Well, you can't because we're waiting to publish your new site.
Yeah.
So if I send you a link to publish, then you'll have to just redo it.
No.
Yeah. So I didn't think you'd want to do that.
Nope. Thank you.
All right, cool. If you have any questions, let me know. Let us know. meredithshusband.com.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We're so grateful that you took time to spend with me and my husband.
I don't know how to respond to that. When you laugh and you move your head like that, this is what it sounds like.
Well, I keep moving away so it doesn't just sound like a horrible cackle.
It's a nice cackle. I enjoy your cackle.
You married that cackle.
Yes.
Hopefully the listeners will not find it as hard to hear as I do. Okay, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey,
Thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you find this helpful and useful. And if you do, what you could do for us as a thanks would be to, drumroll please, yes, leave a review. Yes, everybody says it, I know, but it really does make a difference. Take 3 seconds, leave as many stars, say something really nice about what you like about the podcast and maybe why other people would like it. It would mean the world to us, especially my husband. That better? All right, I'm going to try one where I'm not going to be charming.